weeks, which is about 6 to 7 months, they begin to hear sounds outside of your body, like the barking of a dog. So, and then when they are born, from about 2 to 4 months, your baby begins to respond to tones, which is what you were talking about when you're breastfeeding your baby, and then you tell your baby, don't do that, don't bite me. And then your tone is different from, I love you, baby. So that tone, first of all, is his first reaction and response. Where our focus really is that we want to be able to tell ourselves or ask ourselves, at what point exactly do we begin to, through our words, create an identity for our children, so that, you know how they say catch them young? Can we catch them small? Can we catch them tender? Can we catch them toddler, if there's such an English? So at what point? So I think that I want to hear you first. Like, was there any point where you told yourself that this is how I want this boy to turn out? And by the way, Somi here is the mother of soldier, like I'm not gonna stop saying it, girl. I'm not gonna stop saying it. So she's the mother of about 3 soldiers. So at what point?
Mother of 2 soldiers. So she's coming up. She's coming up. I'm just the forerunner.
I don't know what I'm talking about coming up. Why, yeah, we are right here. Okay, so at what point did you begin to say that I want this boy to turn out this way? And I think that now is not too early. What time did you consciously catch yourself trying to use your words to define them or give them an identity?
Okay, so even before, I think that was during courtship. So I and my husband were deliberate about the kind of environment or the kind of things we want our children. So we were deliberate about a lot of things.
Okay.
So we're very, very deliberate about that. And I noticed that my children right now, they react to negative or abusive words.
Yeah.
You will rarely see my children, all this waka, all those negative words. In fact, it's so bad that when I say, this thing we do in Nigeria, when you say, that guy is bad, until that son is very good.
Yes.
My son will talk, Mommy, you used bad. You called someone bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, not bad. Like,
I mean, bad good.
So, as in, it made them very sensitive. My children are very sensitive to words. Like, even when I communicated with my husband, maybe you use some adult words, you feel, and they're like, Mommy, you said this, you said that. So, I feel it's not too early, from as young as, because a child that you don't mold from a young age, it gets to a point where that child is not very malleable again. It now takes an extra effort for you to do that. So for their vocabulary, we're very conscious of making sure that as much as possible, they are not abusive, they don't use negative words and all that. And that started from birth. And of course, the environment also helped. So they rarely hear in the house, or maybe because one thing we do a lot, especially my husband, I notice he does it a lot with my children. When they do something wrong, he will tell them, have you ever seen daddy do that? Have you ever seen mommy do that? That's like ingraining it into the child, that we are modeling for you to follow. Do you understand? So most times you ask him, have you ever seen mommy do that? Have you ever seen daddy do that? And he goes, no. So why are you doing that?
Exactly.
Do you understand? So and that gives a child a sense of identity, because it doesn't change the fact that any other person is doing that. But in our family, we don't.
Yes.
You get? So it also helps that child form his own identity. So when he goes out there, people are doing all sorts. He knows this is not who I am. This is not what my family is known for. This is not what is acceptable in our family. And they're able to do that differentiation.
In fact, I don't know if I can just, jump over here and give you a hug right now. So let me start from this. So, this thing you have said about, have you seen mommy do this? Have you seen daddy do this? So I once heard someone say that others may, but we can't. And so I started telling my children that quite early. But it recently occurred to me that, no, I'm going to make it clearer. I'm going to say that others may, but we won't. Can't is it's somewhat like an inability. It's not that I cannot throw trash in the on the way. It's not that I cannot speak roughly to people. It's that I have chosen not to, so I won't. I know it's very funny how, people when our babies are really tiny and you want to get them to sleep, you just turn on your phone and play just anything. No, you can be more deliberate. You can be deliberate to what you play. If you're a person of faith and there are certain things you listen to, you can turn that on for your child. This song, Papa is a kind of fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, I edited it. So when my baby was really small, I started singing, Idaosa is a man of God and he's strong like his papa, just like his papa. So I have to create that
Yeah.
understanding. So when he then goes out and he begins to show certain attributes, it's something he has been growing deliberately to hear. Then this thing that we also do when we become much older, where you begin to write out like what's it called, positive words or chants.
Yeah.
Who says you cannot have a chant for your child?
Yeah.
And begin to tell him you are different, you are honest, you have integrity. So when for instance you tell your child that, oh, we're going to color, or you know how they start now, they start by scribbling, they just write on anything, and then they stop. Get where you can begin to show them diligence. You tell him that, oh, I want to stop. No, don't. We are diligent people, and then go some more, go some more. So little by little, we are throwing in these things. So Somi, I want to read something for you. That was song, right? That we came in with. I think we're going to play it again, and then I'm going to tell you something that Christy Essien Ibokwe said. Christy Essien Ibokwe is a Nigerian musician, and she's also known as, or in the 1960s, she was known as Nigeria's Lady of Songs. And then she has this song that the first stanza reads thus: My child, if you do good, it will be well with you. My child, if you listen to me, it will be well with you. This part now, the third stanza is funny. If a child behaves badly, they will say he learnt it from his mother. If a child behaves badly, they will say he learnt it from his father. So I want you to respond to this, or can we listen to the song again? Is it possible?
Okay. So yeah, that's possible, I guess.
Okay, right?
So, but let me say something. So I think what she's saying is just it just falls back to what I said earlier about modeling.
Yeah.
So of course, when a child behaves wrongly, the first question is, in fact, the first question is usually, whose child is this?
Exactly.
And most times it's usually the mother's child. When it's once it's a misbehavior, it's usually the mother's child. But once it's a good deal, it's the father's child.
Right.
And I guess most times that's because of the fact that mothers are usually considered to be the upbringer, and I'm glad that that is starting to change a lot. You see a lot more men more involved in parenting these days, which is a good thing to see, because there's something about balance when a child is able to have that balanced parenting from the father, from the mother, and all that. So I think she's not wrong, because the truth is, for everything you do, you're just like we as Christians will say we're ambassador of Christ.
Yeah.
For every child out there, you're an ambassador of your family.
Right.
So whatever you do relates back to home.
Yes.
And that's why those days when we're growing up, you always hear our parents say, remember the child of whose you are.
Yeah.
But one thing I think they didn't really do is tell us whose child are we exactly, because there was actually that identity deficient.
Okay.
Because you just know, as in there wasn't this crafted identity that you know that this is just, you just stumble on a lot of things. You just know you shouldn't do this. But there is, there wasn't that very deliberate intentionality.
Yeah.
You understand? That's why a lot of them those days, once they leave home, is like, oh, wild and free. Let's go into the world and explore. But then I think what identity has to do with, when that's the core of that child, that even when that child is not there. So I tell myself, I don't want my children not to do things because mommy says they shouldn't do, or because mommy is there. I want them to be able to say, I don't want to do this because it's not the right thing to do.
Yes.
So as much as I'm modeling it for them, yes, we don't do this, we don't do that. But I want it to get to the point where it now becomes the core of their identity, where they know that I can't do this because, first of all, I can't steal because of who I am. Do you understand?
Yes.
Beyond who, as in what my parents told me, or this is now his own personal sense of identity, where he knows that wrong is wrong and right is right. Do you understand? So that's just what I feel that I have to.
So thank you. Thank you again. This thing you said about having a very balanced parenting, where it's not just mommy that is playing the role or daddy playing the role, but it's balanced. Now, we also know that we have quite a number of unique situations where sometimes there's just a mother. But guess what? Even if I was saying something to my husband, I said that this show isn't only for mothers who are in quote and unquote balanced situations. If you have found yourself to be a single mother, the moment you birth that child, now let's be clear. Let's eyes on the goal. Let's know what we are doing about this child. So as simple as your correction. How do you correct your child? How do the words you speak begin to take him from that erring state to the right state and then moving forward? What do you say when you correct? How do you say it? Communication isn't just what you say, it's how you say what you say. So what are you saying to your child even when you correct him? For instance, you know how we tell our children, someone was saying something really that whenever your child has the tries to tell a lie, you are trying to tell, you want to tell him that don't ever tell a lie, but make it so clear that we don't do it here. Like, you don't have to, provided you tell him that I'm okay with you, I forgive you. So make it clear. These are they are the fine details that should define your child's life. Bring out everything to the bed and let it be discussed. We don't tell lies. Once you have broken the plate, confess, tell mommy, I broke it and I'm sorry. The sorry ends it. Guess what? Tomorrow he'll be more careful. Why? Because we have talked about it. And you know how people go out of home and then they are not very clear on certain borderlines. For instance, my son and I were on the way, and then he saw somebody trash. It looks tiny, but see the ripple effect. You trash something out today on the road, right? And we know our condition. Right now we're in West Africa, Nigeria, and you know how it is with the drainage and when it rains, like now. And you know how bad it really gets on the road. So when you trash something on the floor today, and then the ripple effect plays out, what have you done? You have contributed negatively to society. But we teach them, when you trash it, pick it up and put it in your bag. And then I ask him, why are we putting it in our bag? Because we will get home eventually. And when we get home, what are we going to do? We're going to put it in the bin. So see how we're using our words to define, to explain. Tomorrow, when he sees his friend, what's he going to say to his friend? That's wrong. Don't do that. And also pass on a value that we have learned. Okay.
All right. So far it's been interesting. Don't forget to still digit 1024 radio, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Drop your comments. We'd love to read from you. We want to hear from you. And we're going to go on a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Highlighting the impact of hunger in an art community and the role of
Can we
A.R.A.L
talk?
food stores in
Can we talk?
providing relief.
I don't know.
In a
Content
small
was plenty.
African
That
village,
it's looking like I'm
children are
finished.
crying from hunger. Parents are in despair, and the community is struggling.
Have
Okay.
Abby?
Yeah.
Those were the words of 1960s Nigeria's lady of songs, Christy Essien Igbokwe. Chisom, there are many misconceptions about children and the words we speak. What do I mean? We often think that because they are so small or they're in the womb, they either cannot hear us or they cannot understand. Please speak to it.
Well, for me, I've always been a fan of no child is too little to be corrected or to be guided. Because you always hear people say, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's a child. He doesn't know what he's doing, he's growing with it, and he sees it as normal because nobody has said anything about it. But of course, toddlers are very wonderful species of human beings. So that you said it the first time does not mean the child will automatically stop. But like I said, it's a seed you're sowing over time. Like my last son, he's just 2. But I noticed he picked up waka from school, as in telling someone waka. So he will always do it at home. And I will always say, don't do that here. Stop that, stop that. Of course, he continued doing it, as in when his brothers get him angry, his default became, I was like, where did you even learn this from? Of course, we knew that probably he picked it from school or somewhere, because in the house we don't use do such, and his brothers don't. So, but I noticed recently, I can't remember the last time I heard him say that or do that. So imagine we were like, oh, it's just 2 years. He will outgrow it. He will outgrow it. He will not. So that's one thing people don't realize. It's just that they are not so small. It's not. Of course, what happens is that people get weird out when they will say, you talk, they will not listen. They will not do it does not mean they are not hearing.
Yes.
They are two different things.
Yes.
Did they hear what you said? Yes. Did they understand? Yes. Not last. Yes, they understood. They understood what you said. But of course, there's just this, I don't know if it's the exploration. And something I've realized is they like to test your boundaries.
Yes.
So if you're not consistent in saying that thing is wrong, if you're not consistent, maybe he does it one day and you're too tired to correct and you let it slide. You'll be like, okay, so maybe it's allowed on some days. Maybe those other days, mommy was correcting me. Maybe she was in a bad mood or something. Do you understand?
Yes.
But once they see that you're consistently, they will not say, oh, this woman or this man means business.
Yes.
They not address. But when you leave that child and say, oh, he's too small, what does he understand? My dear, even that small one that is suckling, understand. Because if you want to know if they understand, when they bite you on the breast, tap them, you will see that they will not cry. They will just be looking at you. But just touch them like this when they did not do anything wrong. When hear the wailing that we follow, that's when you don't know that they actually know what they are doing. So once you type them like that, they will not cry because they know that they have done something wrong. So they at that moment is eye for eye. They will just fix their eye on you because they know, and you will not hear a sound. They will never, no matter how hard you have hit them, you will not hear a sound. So that shows you that you see that species of woman, they understand and they hear. So you can't say they are too young because you just wake up one day and see that you have a 20-year-old man, correct, that is still misbehaving, and that character started from when he was younger, and you refuse to do anything about it. But then there is also the balance. That is, like you said, the spoken words. The same way they understand when you're correcting, also when you use negative words or when you you see that one, it's like they cling to it or something like that. And I've had adults that told me, I remember something my mom said when I do not understand that words are very powerful.
Yes.
We don't realize it. Words are very powerful. And annoyingly, it's easier to remember a bad word that was said to you than a good one that was said to you.
Yes.
Because there's this effect that a bad word has. It's just like when someone has crushed you.
Yes.
In fact, there are some people that instead of telling them negative words, just carry their head and hit on the wall. That's how bad words impact them. And there are children like that, especially for a child whose love language is words of affirmation, for example, and you're always giving that child negative. Trust me, you won't get anything good from that child. And you're wondering what's the problem. The problem, you are the problem. The parents, you are the problem. Because why? You're projecting a different thing for this child. And you're creating a different, because for every time you speak, you're creating a picture.
Yes.
Because when someone is talking to you, you see in your head, you're creating a picture of what that person is saying. So for every time you speak to your child, you're creating a mental picture in that child's mind.
Yes.
Be there for a very long time. So you need to be very careful of the kind of picture you're painting with your words with your child.
Thank you so much, Chisom. So I want to pick something from what you said, which is consistency. So there's a quote I like. I really like it. In fact, when I feature at Toastmasters meetings, I like to have these quotes. It's anonymous. I do not yet know who exactly said it, but the person said, "Slight, persistent effort can move anyone successfully forward in anything they do." slight, persistent efforts will move anyone successfully forward in anything they do. So, guess what? If we have understood that our words are like building blocks in the soul and in the person, the impression it has on our children is very fundamental and it's as like a building blocks, then we would not stop at just one time telling them who they are. At the same time, if we have this understanding, we know that if we slightly persistently keep using destructive words, guess what? We would successfully destroy the children. And we do not want that, do we? So consistently and persistently, there's something I started doing. And the more I have understanding of the impact of my words and the understanding that I am their mother, there's nobody else in the world that can be a mother to my children. In the sense that nobody birthed them except me. And so there are certain privileges that I alone have. And I want to wield my privilege, I want to wield my influence to their own development. So I stand my children in front of a mirror, right? So not a standing mirror because we have to be relaxed. So I have a hand mirror, right? One that I can hold on to. And then I show them their face. I'm like, see this fine boy. And I say, touch your face. First of all, I'm teaching them many things. I'm teaching them how to parts of the body because they're then they were really very small. I can so I say, touch your nose and touch your nose, touch your eyes. Fine boy, then he will blush. And I say, yes, so handsome. I'm like, do you think I'm very intelligent? And they say, intelligent. No, intelligent. Because he has to learn the word, he has to know who he is. So what am I doing? Next time I see yourself in front of a mirror, and somebody in class or in school is telling me he's foolish, like you are so far. Because my mother has sat me down in the comfort of our home to show me who I am, to tell me who I am, and to define me. There are times when they at those times, there needs to be a lot of self-control. That's why we have this forum. We are coming together as women, in a community. It's like a sisterhood, reading ourselves that, just when we live here, right? When we get back home, I mean, all of this is not there. There's no light on us. There's no spotlight on us. It's we and our children, and sometimes our rusted self. But at that time of exhaustion, when you're tired and then they are getting on your nerve and they can be like that, hold yourself back and do not give yourself to those kinds of words that destroy. Because words do destroy. When was the last time that somebody called you foolish and you hugged the person? I'm like, thank you. You're so good. It never happens. Nobody hugs somebody for calling them foolish. When was the last time somebody told you you're a failure and they're like, that made my day? It doesn't happen. No, the things that make your day is when someone tells you that was a good attempt. That was a good job, and you're doing well. So try those kinds of words. Say to Idaosa, that was a good attempt, but you didn't say it well. In fact, I recently started telling my son, because he talks a lot, I started telling him talk. One day he said, I am Talk. I say, yes, you are talk. But I told him again, I say, your talk is so skillful that God is going to use your talk. He said, God is going to take my talk and he will take it to heaven and he will use it. I'm like, don't worry, God is going to use your talk. But guess what? I'm beginning to let him know that, yes, you talk a lot, but though it can be offensive, but your talk, it's going to be productive. And it's making me think. So when I go to Toastmasters meeting, I'm learning things. I want to start telling him, this is how it is to talk publicly. The show, by the way, they watched our last show, and then they were calling us, Mommy! They are not talking to us. Mommy! Well, we cannot hear you. Honestly, so it's really very important, and it first starts with us having this understanding that our words actually have an impact, and we should be deliberate. Slight persistent efforts does something. So we're not saying that all of a sudden you should go and get positive materials and learn so much. All we're saying is desist from speaking destructive words and go over to speaking constructive words and keep at it.
Okay, so coincidentally, I was reading the book 5 Love Languages for Children, and I'm supposed to review chapter 3 in a group I belong to and all that. And chapter 3 is about words of affirmation. Okay. So, and there was one story that they wrote there. In fact, there are about two stories in that particular chapter that stood out for me. And based on what you said about your son, telling him, oh, you're so fine, we will not realize how much that goes into it. So one of the stories said that every time her mom is combing her red hair, She will tell her how beautiful her hair is, how wonderful, how her hair is unique and everything. She said with time she grew up and realized that those with red hair are in minority. So you're somehow seen as not, do you understand? But she said she never felt somehow about her hair because of based on all the words that her mom over time have told her about her hair. So that goes to show that as a mother, it's your as a parent, not just mother, but especially as a mother, it is your responsibility to build up your child's self-esteem. Nobody will do that for you. So what you don't understand is with your spoken words, you can either build or destroy your child's self-esteem, depending on the choice of words you choose to have. And another one was about a teacher. She gave her pupils papers. Now they should write each of their classmates' name, everybody's name in the class, and they should leave a space in between, then write something nice about each of the classmates. So she took that assignment home, then got a separate sheet for each of the students, then wrote out what every classmate said about that particular student in the paper. So more like a paper like this.
Yes.
Each student had their name. Then she wrote out what all your classmates said about you on a paper and handed it out to them.
Wow.
And they were so small then. So until finally they grew, of course, they separated ways and all that. And one of them was in the army and finally died. And the classmates and the teachers had to go for the burial. So while after the burial, the father of the boy that of the guy that died said, "I want to show you something." So he took all of them inside and brought out from the guy's wallet and brought out that paper that the teacher gave him many years ago that he was carrying it around till he died. That's to show you the power of encouraging words. And that was where all of them started confessing that some of them were with their own, even as they were in the burial there, the paper in their wallets.
Wow.
Because imagine reading what about, let's assume there are 20 pupils. So imagine reading what 19, as in only good things, what 19 people said about you. As in just try to imagine the feeling is going to give and all that. So that teacher might not know. But for those children, she sets a lot of them up for life because there are days when you're discouraged. There are days when you need that encouragement. So if they're not getting it from people around them, they can easily pull out that paper and read all the wonderful things their classmates wrote about them.
Yes.
And of course, they
From
get fueled up. Yeah, and they
age.
get fueled up and do that. You know, I also told myself recently, like my children, they have email addresses. But of course, children, I'm still in control. So I told myself that maybe what I'll be doing every birthday, I'll write a letter.
Wow.
And send to their email.
This one. I'm taking this one.
And send to their email. So that when they get to 18, when I officially hand over the email to them, they would now go back and see all those letters as they were growing up. And now imagine all the things they will read about. Of course, I'm going to be intentional about the choice of words in writing the letter. And they read all those things. So in their adult life, when they are discouraged or something, they can easily go back to, oh, this letter mommy wrote at some point in time. Do you understand? And they get strength for that. So those are the kind of things that we as parents can do for our children. You will not know how much, but you know, words of affirmation, the impact can last for a lifetime. Just like that story with the teacher and the children. So as much as you can, if you do not know what to say, then just shush.
Thank you so much. If you do not know what to say, mommy, hold it. All right, we'll be right back and I'll share a personal experience as well. Please don't go away.
As we enter a new week, we are looking forward checked, expertly cleaned, and thoroughly tested to guarantee quality sound, from microphones to mixing consoles, amplifiers to speakers. Everything unforgettable moments. Welcome to Digits 1024 Solutions, where every beat counts.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So that was our sponsors, Digits Solutions. Of course, for your live sound, for your equipment rentals, for your live streaming services, Digits Sound is the best bet. And of course, we are live here because we have a sponsor like them. So shout out to Digits 1024 Solutions. We're grateful. Zoe and I are saying thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Digit Sound Solutions. I said that when we return, I'll be sharing a personal story. Brief. Okay, so I grew up being a very sickly child, right?
Okay.
Sick in the sense that I don't know, it just almost always happens. And then I also had these skin reactions that left spots. So I recall that I think I know I was less than 8, less than 7 perhaps, but enough for me to remember. I remember one day going to church. My grandma was visiting a church with me. And you know how these long benches. And I went to sit where children were sitting, and everybody got up and left because I had stains. And I cried. And I went to my grandma, and she said to me, "They are running away from you now. But one day people will run to you." He never left. I still remember it. So my grandma was someone that my maternal grandmother was very desperate about what she told me. She made me realize that I'm a blessing. I'm alive. I'm a miracle. Every time I went to the hospital, sometimes it would be so, there were some kind of illnesses that I felt like I was seeing somebody, these hallucinations. And then one time, a doctor had told her that I had gone cold, but I just kept on surviving. And then she would just tell me that there's something to me. And so she was very particular about focus. There's who you are. There's somewhere you're going. There's a person that you are. And it helps build me. So to be honest, I'm very clear-minded about my person. I'm very clear-minded about who I am. So yes, my maternal grandmother, your child might not have a maternal grandmother. Your child might not have, and then I was also blessed. I have been blessed with such amazing teachers from church, from school to the university. My lecturer, my supervisor was amazing. Dr. Nurain Fola Alimi from the University of Lagos. He would say to me, "Zoe, he just had these words." There was Dr. Itekim Rex who would tell me about Toastmasters and tell me, "You have it, it's in you." So there were people. But how about being the first person for your child? So that when your child is leaving you, at a point they have to leave home. When they are leaving you, they are leaving with virtues. Remember, our focus is raising the next set of African leaders. We have in Africa a sad narrative, which is that the persons at the end of affairs, fundamentally, quite a number of them, not all, because it would be wrong to smear all of them with the same paintbrush, but quite a number of them have failed us in the sense that they have not upheld values that have kept the continent in good light. But this is the time. The moment you pushed forth a child, you have the chance to create a new narrative. So you be the one to tell your child that we don't steal. Return that toy. It's a tiny toy. Don't say, who gave you? So did she give you? No. Where did you get it from? I just took it. And then she holds it. No. Take it back. Go with her. I'm so sorry that Idausa took your toy. We are sorry. We won't do that again. Idausa, return it and tell Chisom you are sorry. That's what have you taught your child? Do not take things that do not belong to you. That's also the vision behind John on My Journey to Motherhood. The idea of John on My Journey to Motherhood is mothers that birth their children know the exact narrative of their children from conception to birth. So you are preserving that story so that your child understands that I am uniquely different. I might have 5 children, but each of you are different. The story behind your birth, the experience, even to your childbirth, your coming forth is different. So you are different. And then because you are also there for your child, you are more there for your child than their teacher. When you tell your child that this is how we behave, even when they get to school and they are taught otherwise, and children coming with all kinds of vices, your child can stand firm. So eyes on the goal. So Chisom, something else I want us to touch on quickly is, do you really think, no, first of all, I want you to introduce your sons to us without their names. tell us who you are raising, at least from what you know now. Of course, we know in parts because we don't know the far future. So introduce your first son, introduce him to us in few words, the character, the person, the strong points. So introduce him, and then your first 3 sons, and I'll also do the same. Then please comment, introduce your children to us on the comment section, telling us who you are raising. Let's begin to know our future leaders.
Okay. Okay. So I've not really I've not really thought about that. But I think for my first son, he's more of the sensitive one.
So I am
you
introducing.
understand?
He's a keynote speaker. He's a keynote speaker. Thank you.
He's that very artistic person. That person that wants to know why is this, and he loves to know about animals. He's this screen when different pictures are showing, where you put a slideshow on your laptop screen,
Okay.
and it brings. So every time a new animal comes up, he's like, "What's the name of it?" I'm like, "How will I know? These are very non-conventional that you've never seen or something." And the funniest thing, he will tell me, "Google it." That's the next thing you will hear.
Yeah.
He will tell me, "Google it." And for every time I tell him that, he will go and write it down.
Okay.
He will go and write it down. So one day I just wanted to be sure I'm not doing an exercising activity. So I asked him, "So that bed that day, the other day, what's the name?" And he told me it's Cinnamon.
Wow, he remembered. He's interested.
He remembered.
Hmm.
So he told me Cinnamon, something, Bedchester, something. But it was about 3 names, and he remembered.
Wow.
And he remembered the names. And he told me recently, he said, "Teach me how to design on Canva." 7 years old.
Wow, please do. Mommy, teach us.
And I just think he's the one that is very handy amongst my children. He's very, very handy. Because there was one day he did something, he changed the icon, he made it big on my system. And his father was watching. His father said he wanted to get angry. Like, why are you operating? But he said he just told him, take it back to the way it was. In less than 5 seconds, he did it.
Wow. You're not going to apply for master class.
He now had to take a step back. As in, he now had to refrain the anger, and I say, okay, so he's just exploring.
Yeah.
And so he's not the explorer. He wants to know new things. He wants to know. Then my second son is the Mr. Talker. I think he's the public speaker I have in my house.
Okay.
And he's the logic one, as in he's the daring one. He's the one that you can't just tell do this. You want to know why should he do this. So he's more of the daring one. He's more of the talker in the family.
Okay.
So, and he's more of the soft life king. Anything stress, please count him out. He does not like stress and all that. Then I think also my third son is more of this person. Like, he likes to exercise his authority when he's there.
And he's the third.
And he's so and I like him for the fact that you can't be intimidated. He will always his ground. So he's someone that he has that's when you say authority thing, and he's also he takes initiative.
Wow.
He takes initiative. So he's the child that when he sees you doing something, he knows, like, let's say for example, okay, you're sweeping and you're with the broom. You don't need to tell him to go and get the dustpan.
Wow.
By default, he will go and get the dustpan because he knows you
need it, and so I meet the need.
So he's more of the one that takes initiative and all. So I think that's really the major traits that I've really noticed. So maybe now I'll pay more attention.
Yes,
now that you're
please.
putting on the spotlight.
Yes, please do. So while I was listening to you, Chisom, you have said strong point. Your first child, you have told us about his artistic nature. You have said something else about his inquisitiveness. His inquisitiveness. Your second son. So and then he by himself he has told you, Mommy, introduce me to Canva. Canva is a designing app. So let's not delve into that because the discussion for another day. You have mentioned about your second son now speaking, and his enjoyment of soft life, and your third son taking initiative and loving authority or exerting authority. And that's really awesome. So in future episodes, we'll have to now think about how do we nurse these strong points? How do we begin to position them? These are matters that we should begin to pay close attention to. We should pay detailed attention to things. It's our job. It's our call. It's start brief. Okay, so my first son. He's a talker. Oh, and he loves music. Oh my God. So he listens to the sound of generator sound, and makes music for me. So when the gen is good, you say gung 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 gung. You add sound to the generator. One day we were going by a car. I don't know how people can be very impatient in traffic. And then the man was going gung 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 gung. I'm like, this is awesome. So I have to make this run. So he's musical, he's a talker. Oh, and he's very sensitive. Oh, so in a sense that particularly family, he's a family person. So if for any reason you have to hug him, maybe he has done something good, he goes and just daddy, and then he goes and for daddy, come. So it has to be a complete family hug. So those are his strengths. Then my second son is the intellectual. So he's left and then I was teaching him how to write, but the boy learned to write by work. So I was very amazed. Of course, he started by writing his numbers lying down. So his one was sleeping, two was sleeping, all the numbers were having siesta, but he was writing nonetheless. By what you don't have knowledge. He's trained and he has gotten it. The next time he hears it anytime, he produces it like you taught him. And then, of course, like your last son, that man is a person of his own. So when he comes into a place, he'll tell you that he's here. So he has arrived, that kind of a thing. So I said that so that we can begin to understand that we are not just using little selves, mini me's. It's nice. It's nice to have a mini me, especially if you have daughter. Sorry about that. You don't have a you know, so it's really nice when you have a mini me and you dress up together. Those are the cute parts. But the part where you roll up the sleeve is where you understand that these are individuals. They are children today, but they're not going to keep being children. They're going to be adults. What kind of fathers are they going to be? What kind of mothers are they going to be? They're going to be at helms of affairs. What kind of leadership are they going to exert? So our discussion today has been on the impact of words and how we can be deliberate to frame up our children to be the kinds of leaders that Africa needs in the near future. Our immediate focus is the year 2050. By the year 2050, that's another 24 years from now. Add that to our children. 26 years, pardon me. Another 26 years from now, add that to the current age of your child. And imagine what kind of a child that child would be. So let's not leave anything to chance. It's a wake-up call. Enough of crying over spilled milk. We might not be very proud of some of the identity that our continent has, but we are no longer sitting down. And what we're doing now is we're rising up and we're saying that the children that we have authority over now, we are deliberately raising them to be the kind of leaders in Africa that we are proud of. Okay, so final words before we give our catch. So we have a giveaway, but you have to answer a question. Should I give the giveaway? Then we give our final words. Okay, so please head on to the comment section and respond. It's a simple question, and we are going to what the catch is shortly. So, what country is famous? So, the country and the capital. This is famous as the Pearl of Africa and hospitable to visitors. The country is the Pearl of Africa and hospitable to visitors. It is also the home to Africa's big fives. It's the home to Africa's big fives. And big fives are lions, leopards, rhinos, buffaloes, and elephants. What country is the home to Africa's big fives? What country in the continent of Africa is the home to lions, leopards, rhinos, buffaloes, and elephants? Please comment your answer correctly, the name of the country, and the capital of the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's been a very wonderful time with Zoe here. And, of course, I'm sure our viewers who have been watching. And remember, like we said, we're not just going to be bemoaning issues. We are going to take deliberate steps at making sure that Africa becomes the giant that it is supposed to be. In fact, we are not saying giants as in giant of the continent, we know that we have a gold mine. Yes, we might not have been, mining it as well as we should, but we're saying that it's time for us to do something about it rather than keep whining and complaining. And part of the ways we can do that is by raising wholesome children, raising children who are poised to take the leadership reins in the next future, to take Africa to the greater heights that it is meant to be at.
Thank you so much, Chisom. The moment you birth a child as an African mother, especially a young African mother, you earned a chance and an opportunity to affect a change in the African future. That little baby in your arms right now, that little boy, that little girl, is your opportunity to change the narrative. So, one step we have started to take is the first baby step of creating our words. From the womb, tell them who they are. From the womb, instruct them and tell them what you expect of them. When you correct them, tell them the right words. Tell them what you expect of them. Tell them who they are. And do not forget to compliment them. When they make efforts, however tiny, commend it, mention it, speak about it. Define your family, define your values, and let them know that you believe in them. Once again, the question is, what country in the continent of Africa is the pearl of Africa and hospitable to visitors? What country, that same country, is the home to Africa's big fives? Fives being lions, leopards, rhinos, rhinoceros, buffaloes, and elephants. Please comment in the comment